Well, good morning. Got a dense fog advisory notification on my phone first thing this morning, and I am hoofing it down to the riverfront parks here in Parkville to try to make a photo in the fog that I've wanted for quite a while. Tripod over my shoulder, and the Nikon Z5 II slung around my shoulder. Hopefully I get this photo. Oh yeah, rental camera, by the way. Trying it out. Had it a few days. I'll probably, I've already shared with you the a modified one lens, one camera video. Thing rocks. I don't want to send it back. I legitimately don't want to send this camera back. It is it is not. Well, it's an entry frame. It's a. Whew, I'm almost running. I got the train coming. Whew, boy. And there's fog. There's gorgeous fog. Yes. Sweet. Back to the Nikon Z5. Other videos here. It's known as the Parkville pause. Anyway, back to the Nikon Z5. The other video is going to have a lot of my thoughts on it, but for an entry point, full frame, mirrorless camera, I don't know how you can do much better. It's great. Most of the stuff that I've done with it has been handheld. This is the first time I've taken a tripod with me, just because I don't know if I'm going to be able to do a handheld. I probably should trust the fact that I can get really good shots at really high ISO and still be able to handheld with the Nikkor 24 to 120 f4 S lens on it. I've done some really nice stuff where I've slowed down this train, in fact, hand-holding at a 30th of a second and a 25th of a second, just to get a nice motion blur. So there's two shots down here that I really want to get. Hopefully I've got enough time before the sun comes up and burns everything off. There's a third that I just thought of walking down here, and I think I've got more time on that, but once that sun gets up high enough, even with the dense fog right over the river, it's going to burn off fairly quickly. And hey, congratulations. This is a work morning. What can get me out of bed early on a work morning? Fog and the opportunity to photograph it. Wow, this could be fun. So here's one of the compositions I was talking about. It's not perfect. I've got another photograph that I'm going to show you. The fog's actually on the path a little bit and in the trees over here. I'm going to take this one anyway because the one I have doesn't have any people in it.
I'm not going to lie. I was really hoping for more fog to be drifting into the scene, you know, over the path, into the trees a little bit. That would have been an epic shot. And if I would have been there a little bit earlier, I would have had some lights on too. Makes a really cool composition. I do like this composition and this version of this composition. I've shot this composition several times in different lighting, different conditions. I like this one because there are people in it. Yeah, I know. Landscape photographer actually likes a shot with people in it. What do you think? Let me know. Nikon Z5 II looks nice. Here's the other composition that I was alluding to from in the field. This is the raw, and if you notice, everything's a little bit tilted. I was in a hurry that morning. I was on my way to work, and there was no dense fog warning. It just came up out of the blue. I ran down here, got that photograph, and in post, I straightened everything up a little bit. At art fairs, I've had people ask me if this is actually taken in London. No, this is down in the riverfront parks in Parkville, Missouri. When we get really epic fog down there, you can't see the river. I just love this shot. I really wish there were people in this version.
So this composition here that I'm shooting just presented itself. We've got the river as foreground down in here, and then the far bank is just barely visible with a little bit of the reflection of the trees coming into it. And every so often the fog is just light enough that you can see through all the way.
So this composition could have been a little bit better. I was really drawn to the silhouetting of the trees through the fog, and there was reflection when you were looking at it with the naked eye. So I took this raw image into post, and I did a little dehazing. I got rid of a little bit of that fog just to bring back what I was feeling in the field. Unfortunately, I did not have a slow enough shutter to get the river to give me as much reflection as you saw with the naked eye when you could see across.
So I just made this one in my normal style with this tree here, which has gotten kind of scrubby off to the left. And if you notice up in the tree there's the moon, not full but close to full. I'm going to go for a portrait non-landscape on this as well.
So this is the landscape version. This is the raw image. What I don't like is all the dead in the tree. Nothing I can do about that, right? I'm not going to go do AI and make a full tree there. This tree was gorgeous at one point, but she has seen very rough days of late. I didn't like the fact that I had branches coming into the frame on the right, so I cropped those out in post. Makes it a little bit better, but if that tree was just a little fuller, if it was back to its former glory, which is one of my favorite portrait photography locations here in Parkville. Let's see what the next one looks like, because I know there's another composition of this same shot, different orientation coming up.
Okay, so this is going to be a little bit weird talking about this. I think this is actually going to turn out really good as a square crop. So I bring it in just above the moon and cut out most of the foreground. I think that's a better, stronger image.
Well, as I was saying in the field, I do like the portrait version of this better. It crops out a lot of the waste. I think we can do better. Like I said in the field, I think we can take it into post and we can crop that down to a square crop, and we can get rid of all the distractions that I am seeing, most of them. So we got rid of most of those distractions. The square crop is definitely a stronger image. It's kind of cool that you can see the moon in just above the tree there in this photo. Wish it was a little bigger, but it is what it is. Let me know what you're thinking about these photographs and compositions with the Nikon Z5 II. I did throw one in from the Nikon D600.
So I just noticed this, there's a slight crop at 4K at 30 frames per second. That's usable still. Okay, so down here, you can just barely see this cone here. I can move that. I have to put it back. There's some electrical there that's being covered by it. I'll either remove it or I'll just remove it later in post. I love how the light is coming through those trees. And this composition actually got better as I've been down here. The fog is getting denser. So I'm going to take this. This is one of my favorite comps.
So I did move that cone in the field because this is the raw image. As I said, the fog was getting denser as I was shooting, which is typically not the case. Usually as the sun gets higher, it burns off fairly fast. I was presented with the perfect morning of fog photography, finally, after years of searching and hunting for it. And luckily, I had rented the Nikon Z5 II just to test out its capabilities. Took it into post. I brought up the exposure a little bit, did some dodging and burning, and I came away with probably one of my favorite images of the A-frame bridge in English Landing Park here in Parkville, Missouri. I love this place. I wish I could have gotten the lights on, but it is what it is. It's still one of my favorite photos of that bridge.
Okay, as I'm walking to what was going to be my third composition, now it's like the fifth or sixth. The sun is just starting to come through this tree right here. Look at these God rays coming right through towards me, barely lighting up the foreground over here. I love how it's silhouetted over here in the actual image. And then this is our little bandstand or stage down here, and there's a wooden carving of from an old tree. of a bald eagle there that's in silhouette as well. Got to keep moving. Don't want to lose it.
So let me know what you think about these explanations of my thoughts in the field as opposed to what I did after the fact when I got the photos back to the desk and really worked them through. I thought the raw image here was a little too dark in the foreground. I do love the crepuscular light, or the God rays, coming through that tree. And so I did bring up the foreground just a little bit in post with a grad filter in Lightroom. That's all I really did to this photo. Yeah. Perfect light, perfect moment, all coming together on a perfect morning. All with the Nikon Z5 II.
So here was what was going to be composition number 2. I think I see one more for the morning, but this is Rush Creek, which is basically where the Platte River used to flow back in the early 1900s before several floods came through the area and routed it several miles upstream on the Missouri River. But I love how the creek curves. You get this nice reflection in the foreground here, and the fog starts up about mid-ground, and you can really see it kick off in the background. I like how the light is hitting in the foreground over in here. That's nice. Just a gorgeous shot with the sun shining into it.
I love the quality of the light. I love the fog. I love the reflection in the creek. What I don't like is the poles for the muskrat traps. So over the past few years, the City of Parkville, in cooperation with the Army Corps of Engineers and the U.S. Fish and Wildlife, have introduced wildlife migratory ponds back into Parkville. And the muskrats are getting in there and damaging the lining, which causes the water to drain out through the soil. Not a good thing. I love the post-process on this. I didn't do too much. It was a little dodge and burn. You know, tell me what you think. Would you remove those posts in post? Let me know down below.
So this composition should look really familiar to you guys. This is what I've been hoping to get. Fog throughout the woodland, sun coming in and cutting a little bit of the fog down. I may go for a portrait on this as well and see what a square crop looks like in post.
Wow. Not gonna lie. I love the fog. I love the light. The light could be a little more of a rake than it is at a different angle. What I don't like is that tree on the left side of this photograph. It is more of a distraction than I was hoping it was going to be. Even with a little bit of dodging and burning, I think I did a little dehaze here because I wanted to be able to see that path just a little bit better. And the shadows are a little bit darker. There's some soul left in them. I like the contrast of the image. What I don't like is my attention is being drawn to that tree on the left side. What do you think? Let me know. Let's talk about this one. So, I did it in the field. I went and did a portrait. What I don't like about the raw here on this portrait version of the same composition is there's way too much foreground. The path is so broad. I also don't like the fact that there's this little bitty dead branch sticking in on the left side. The square crop solves the foreground issue, makes it a tighter image. I did some dodging and burning here. What do you think? Should I go back in and just remove that distractionary branch from the left side of the photograph? It's really drawing my eye away from the leading line of the path going off into the distance. Let me know your thoughts. I really want to know that.
Well, the sun's gotten up higher. The fog is still intensifying. You can't even see the bridge. You usually can there. And I've got one little problem. I've got 8 minutes to get the Nikon Z5 II and my tripod back to my house before I have to be over at my dad's house to pick Parker up for his morning walk. Yeah. The world keeps throwing punches, doesn't it? At least I got out this morning, made some photos. I'm gonna get hit by a car here. People don't yield to you down here. Yeah. All right, if you made it this far, thank you. Thank you so much. It means a lot to me. If you haven't yet done so, please hit that subscribe button. Also, I have a link to my newsletter down in the description below. That's the easiest way to keep track of what I'm doing. And yes, it's going to start getting published at least quarterly. Gorgeous morning. Thanks again for watching. Like and subscribe, and we'll see you on the next one. Bye-bye.